Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Will on Safety. Today, I thought I'd talk about zone audits. Zone audits are an absolutely fantastic tool. So, what's a zone audit? What am I talking about? Well, normally, obviously, health and safety practitioners, operations managers, members of management, they'll do safety walkarounds, which is fantastic and brilliant. But depending on the size of your business, depending on the size of the site, it's either a quick sort of cursory walk around a facility or it's going to take a lot of time. So zone audits are a fantastic idea, and all that really means is you're going to split the site down into different zones. So you might have different areas of the work site. For example, you might have a finance department, an office department, a production department. Let's say you have a dispatch yard and a maintenance shack. So say 5 different departments. So rather than walking around all those different areas and different departments all at once, we're just going to split them down into zones. You've effectively got 5 departments there, so effectively you could have 5 zones. Now, what's the beauty of that then? The beauty is you just concentrate and you do a deep dive focus on one zone at a time. So, for example, you might want to look at the office department first. Because you're just looking at that one zone, you can have a much more focused view of that zone. You've only got a set amount of time. So rather than having that cursory look around, that area, you're really going to start to look for things. Another really good thing to do with zone audits is take somebody with you or get somebody to conduct that zone audit that doesn't work within that department or within that zone. The beauty of that is it's a fresh pair of eyes. They're not used to that department. If they've got a sort of idea of what they're checking, okay, they're really going to have a more focused view as to spotting hazards within that zone. What can happen is if you use people that work within that zone or department all the time, if there are hazards and they've been left, the hazards have just been left and not rectified, it stops becoming a hazard. It becomes the norm. It's a bit like broken window theory, and there's some great videos of broken window theory. Have a look on YouTube. If you want me to do a video on broken window theory, drop me a comment below, and I'll do a whole video on broken window theory and how that theory works in a safety environment. But using people that aren't in the zone or that department gives you a much more focused and critical view of that department, okay? And people, human nature, we're generally competitive beings. Yeah, there's nothing better than going into a different department and picking up loads of things, so you get a much more critical review or audit of that department. So, like I said, the purpose of zone audits is to identify hazards before any accident or injury occurs. All right, so what's the purpose of them? Audits are not to point blame, or reviews aren't to point blame, but to involve all levels of employees in hazard recognition. Okay, don't just leave it to managers, get the workforce involved as well. That's going to give them a bit of pride, a bit of responsibility, and taking responsibility in the safety of their work areas. All right, more people involved gets more done in less time, and a hazard-free workplace equals a safer place for you to work. So what would we look for in these zone audits then? Okay, we're looking for general things really. So general housekeeping and safety, clean, uncluttered floors, good visibility, clear aisles, okay, fire extinguishers, firefighting media not being blocked. Storage, yeah, so racking, for example, it should be capacity rated, it should be bolted to the floor. Product needs to be stored neatly, not stored within 18 inches of sprinklers And there needs to be adequate room for forklifts if you're using forklifts. Obviously, there needs to be adequate room for people going about their business as well if it's in an office environment, for example. All right, we want to be having a look at things like lighting. So all lights have working bulbs, lighting's adequate for that work area. We're going to be having a look at electrical devices and electrical issues. So looking for no exposed wires, frayed electrical cords, electrical equipment being labelled, pat tested, extension cords being used appropriately, making sure extension cords, excuse me, have a residual current device on it, an RCD, okay, because it's better protected. If we're using like, Poundland extension cords, they need to be highlighted and removed. We need to make sure electrical equipment's not blocked. Things like electrical cabinets aren't open, aren't unlocked, aren't damaged in any way. Flammables and hazardous materials, we're going to be having a look at proper storage, making sure flammables aren't near heat sources or potential open flames and things like that, okay? Chemical marking, labelling of containers, making sure they're stored on buns, that type of thing. You might have a look at machine guarding. So is guarding secure? Is it free from damage? Have we got gaps in the guarding where, people can get extremities in, fingers and things like that, hands? If we have, that's something we need to raise so we can rectify it. Making sure we have a lockout tagout system and that system's being utilised when it's appropriate. Industrial trucks, excuse me, we need to think about industrial trucks. So are we leaving keys in the ignition? Is the handbrake on? Are people using seat belts? Are they stored in the correct place? Are people driving them in line with your company's sort of vehicular policies? What else have we got? Emergency procedures. So making sure emergency exits aren't blocked, aren't locked, open up correctly. Fire extinguishers are not over or under pressurized. They've got the tamper tallies intact, on the old pull cords or pull pins, should I say. Generally, you'll have tamper tallies on there, making sure they're in a good state of repair. Making sure eye wash stations, first aid stations are well stocked, in date. We haven't got anything missing. Personal protective equipment, we need to make sure PPE's one, being used, and two, not so badly damaged and contaminated it's going to be no use. So just going around, having chat to people, asking them if they've noticed, any issues that you should be raising as well. But PPE, it's not just about being worn, it needs to be in a good state of repair as well, so we must check that. But that's just a general overview of the type of things you're going to be having a look for on zone audits. The list isn't exhaustive, and of course, if you see something, say something or do something. If you've got cords and things across the floor, let's see if they're not in use, we can get them put away so they're not trip hazards, that type of thing. Obviously, if you've got cables running across the floor and they are in use, maybe we can cover them with sort of cable matting. Maybe we can reroute them above head height. So there's a whole host of different things we can raise on the zone audits. It's not just about the things we've just covered today. Obviously, as we walk around the workplace, if something doesn't look right, generally it's not going to be right. So just pop it on your zone audit, raise it, and we can get that rectified. Okay? Because hazard recognition and corrective actions lead to a safe workplace. All right? So look for the hazards. Raise them on the zone audits. Look for things that are wrong. Raise them on the zone audits. If you have a near miss or you see somebody have a near miss whilst you're doing your zone audits, raise a near miss form. Okay? But like I said, zone audits are great. Rather than concentrating on the facility as a whole, really split that facility down into different zones and just do it on a rotation. You don't have to do necessarily all zones at any one time. I hope you found this video helpful. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you want me to do a video on broken window theory or discuss that, leave me a couple of comments below, and I'll go through broken window theory and how that has a direct connotation to safety in the workplace. Okay, But I hope you've enjoyed this. If you haven't already, please, please, please give me a subscribe. Hit that subscribe button on this video now. It's free to do. It's just going to help me grow my safety community. Okay, give me a like as well. Hit that notification bell. I'm trying to post at least 2 safety videos a week. Sometimes more in some weeks, but it'll definitely never be less. So if you just want, some good toolbox talks, generate some good discussions, or just get some general advice and tips, this is the channel for you. So hit that subscription button right now. Leave me a message in the comment section. I reply to all the messages. I love hearing your feedback and everything else. So please just let me know how I'm doing, how you're enjoying the videos. I really appreciate that. But until next time, folks, remember, safe by choice and not by chance. Take care for now.